Welcome back. All right, so this is Bear. Um, she has assured me she will behave so I can do a video. I don't normally hold it during a video, but here we are. So, we are looking at the Tampa Bay Lightning, a team which it feels like may be dropping out of the status as a contender for the Stanley Cup. And they're in that spot where they're close enough to having won the Stanley Cup that you can't take them for granted. You can't overlook them come playoff time either. But with the two most recent eliminations from the playoffs, it seems like the window for another Stanley Cup might be closing. But of course, Stamkos ends up in Nashville. They pick up Jake Gensel. One of the reasons you make that move is to try to stay in contention and to make that window stay open just that little bit longer. So looking back 10 years, from 2014-15 until now, Nikita Kucherov is their leading scorer. 673 games, 311 goals, 544 assists for 855 points. Steven Stamkos is second, 672 games played, 322 goals scored, 389 goals against, 711 points. Victor Hedman, 719 games, 127 goals, 457 assists, 584 points. For Braden Point, 580 games played, 264 goals scored, 289 goals against, 289 goals against, 289 assists. I'm getting ahead of myself. 553 points. Might be the purring in my ear throwing me off too. For Alex Killorn, 685 games, 174 goals, 232 assists, 406 points. Andre Palat, 533 games, 118 goals, 242 assists for 360 points. Tyler Johnson, 493 games played, 134 goals, 171 assists, 305 points, and he's currently a UFA. You know, if Tyler Johnson went back to Tampa Bay, they could probably use another depth forward. Anyways, we'll get there. Mikhail Sergachev, who just got traded, of course, 471 games, 48 goals, 209 assists, 257 points. Anthony Cirelli, 431 games, 97 goals, 136 assists, 233 points. And rounding out the top 10, Seattle's Yanni Gourde. 310 games played with Tampa, 80 goals, 107 assists, 187 points. Now, in terms of goaltending over the last 10 years, it's Vasilevsky. A record of 293, 143, and 30. Ben Bishop second at a record of 91, 46, and 12. Louis Domingue, 28, 8, and 1. Brian Elliott, 23, 12, and 5. Curtis McElhinney, 12, 13, and 5. And Jonas Johansson, 12, 7, and 5 record last season, ties him for fifth place with McElhinney. So over the last 5 seasons, when we look at points percentage, they're sixth at 636, and really an elite team through most of the last 5 years. Goals for per game, 3.43, that is fifth. Goals against per game, 2.92, that is 10th. So goals for and goals against, they're top 10 in both, top 5 in the goals for department. Power play, second overall at 24.9%, and the penalty kill, fifth at 81.7%. So all the numbers are very positive for Tampa. This past season, they had a 598 points percentage. That was 13th in the NHL. Goals for per game, 3.51 goals per game. That's fifth. So they stay fifth. But goals against took a nosedive this past season. 3.26 goals against per game. That's 22nd. Vasilevsky was injured to start the season. Wasn't quite himself when he came back. And it led to the goaltenders allowing some more goals than they otherwise would. Power play was first in the NHL at 28.6%. The penalty kill was fifth at 83.3%. So pretty elite special teams for the Tampa Bay Lightning. But again, the goals against, they just need to get that down. Their top 10 scorers this past season, Nikita Kucherov, 81 games, 44 goals, 100 assists, 144 points. We agreed that you were not going to distract me. You're so darn cute. Braden Point, 81 games, 46 goals, 44 assists, 90 points for them. Stamkos, 79 games, 40 goals, 41 assists, 81 points. And Hedman had a huge bounce back from a down year by his standards the year before. Offensively, anyways, 78 games, 13 goals, 63 assists, 76 points. Still amongst the best defensemen in the league. Brandon Hagel, 82 games, 26 goals, 49 assists, 75 points. Nick Paul, 82 games, 24 goals, 22 assists, 46 points. Anthony Cirelli, 79 games, 20 goals, 25 assists, 45 points. Darren Radish had himself quite the year. 82 games, 6 goals, 27 assists, 33 points. Michael Asimont, 81 games, 11 goals, 14 assists, 25 points. And Perbix rounds out the top 10, 71 games, 2 goals, 22 assists, 24 points. So, pretty strong team here. And the only one in the top 10 scorers that's off the team now, of course, being Stamkos, but that is a huge change to the team's core. Their top 2 goaltenders, Vasilevsky ends up with a record of 30, 20, and 2, 900 save percentage, 2 shutouts. Johansson, 12, 7, and 5, 890 save percentage, also 2 shutouts. So that's going to be their goaltending tandem again this season. Now, for Rookie Watch, they're not a team that's awash with rookies this season, but Connor Geekie, if he gets into the lineup, we'll see what he can do. Also, I put Max Crozier on the board. I figured, yeah, why not? Now, their top 12 forwards, Jake Gensel, got his big contract, is with Tampa. Now we see if he lives up to said contract. Braden Point, excellent goal scorer, really solid player. And Nikita Kucherov looking to get to 100 assists again. So he had 144 points this year. It looks like a fantastic career year. Can he equal it? There's the question. Brandon Hagel, right around a point per game last year. He'll be on that second line, I would think, with Anthony Cirelli in the middle. And Cam Atkinson joins the team. Does he end up in the top 6? I think they're going to look for top 6 production from him. But it's going to be interesting to see who ends up on what line. Connor Sherry, Nick Paul, Michael Asimont on that third line in all likelihood. Zemgus Girgensons arrives from Buffalo. I like Girgenson's compete level. I think Tampa fans are going to like it too. Luke Glendening, and then Mitchell Chaffee, the latest of Tampa Bay players that they develop from within, and it can take a long time. Sometimes they're in their mid-20s by the time they hit, but they're pretty good at finding guys who do end up becoming good NHL players. So whether that's solid scouting or just really good development from within and good coaching, you guys can let me know your thoughts on that. The extras, Connor Geekie, Gage Goncalves, and Gabriel Fortier. So the depth up front could use a little bit of a push. That's why I think they might be in line for a professional tryout contract or two, just to get a couple of extra guys. We'll see what they do, though. They're not a team that has a lot of cap space, so that is going to influence their ability to do that, right? Their top 6, well, I mean, they can sign guys to tryouts. Those don't go onto the cap, but keeping those guys, if they earn a job on the team, could be difficult. The blue line, some changes here. And one question mark for Tampa Bay is, will these changes cause them to struggle out of the gate? So there's Victor Hedman, Darren Radish. Ryan McDonough returns from Nashville. Nashville then repays them with the money they saved by trading McDonough's contract by stealing Stamkos from them. Kind of rude. Eric Chernak, we know he's a top 4 defenseman. J.J. Mosier, solid pickup for this team from the former Coyotes, now Utah. And Nick Perbix as well. So while they're going to miss Sergachev, I think Mosier is going to be really popular with Tampa fans. We'll see. The extras, Emil Lilleberg is in the extras there, as well as Max Crozier. Derek Pouliot is still playing, and he's signed by Tampa. Declan Carlisle and Steven Santini still rumbling around too, and he will likely be playing for Syracuse to start the season. Their top 2 goaltenders again, Andrei Vasilevsky, Jonas Johansson, no surprise there, which leaves the extra again as Matt Tompkins, who stepped in last year. He looked all right when needed as the number 3 goaltender, but ideally Vasilevsky stays healthy for this season. The cap space, there isn't any. $730,000 is not enough cap space to write home about. You can't. The league minimum salary is $775,000, so they don't quite have enough for a player if they pick one up. But again, you can get creative when you get to training camp about who you keep around and who you don't. So we'll see what they do. Again, it feels like this team might pick up a couple of guys because just looking at that offensive depth, it's a little shaky. But anyways. Their schedule, 6 out of 11 at home in October, so they're busy in October, but 1 extra game at home compared to on the road. 7 out of 13 are at home in November, so not an awful schedule for them through the first 2 months. In the month of February, where the Four Nations Cup resides, there's 3 at home, 2 away from home, then they have the Four Nations Cup, and then they have 3 at home after that to round out the month of February. In April, 5 out of the 9 games they have scheduled for April are away from home. Now, the Cup odds, plus 1,700. We've seen Tampa Bay as a contending team for so many years that it's odd to see that their odds are getting longer, but they are. It's understandable, too. They get eliminated from the playoffs relatively early for the second year in a row. out in the first round both last year and this year. So they'll be looking to show that they're capable of winning come playoff time again. They're going to need Vasilevsky to step it up. They're going to need Kucherov, Hedman, and all of those veterans to show up in the playoffs and produce the way we know that they can, and make those odds look wrong. Then when we look at the channel vote, 9% of the channel said first or second place for Tampa Bay. So I think that's a pretty optimistic ranking. The 66% that felt they'll be third or fourth, I'll agree with that. I think that this is a team that probably ends up, I want to say third. It feels like Boston, Toronto, one of them maybe falls off. I don't think Florida does. And Tampa Bay, depending on how Gensel hits, that could absolutely push them up to third place. 23% said fifth or sixth, so 23% of the vote feels that Tampa Bay's time at the top is done. And 3% just don't like Tampa Bay and voted them seventh or eighth. And that's out of just over 7,700 votes to this point. So I guess the question that I have for people watching is a simple one. Is this team still a Stanley Cup contender? If not, why not? And if they're not, what did they do to fix that? And again, it does feel like with the salary cap situation being as it always is with Tampa Bay, that has negatively impacted their depth. I think on up front, definitely. On the blue line, yeah, probably as well. And losing Sergachev on the blue line, one question mark I have is where's that offense going to come from that Sergachev provided on the blue line? I think Mosier can step up and provide a lot of it, but he doesn't have the offense that Sergachev does. Maybe it'll have to be done by committee. Let me know your thoughts, though, in the comment section below regarding the Tampa Bay Lightning. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe in the event that you've not done so already. And as we've said in live streams, this cat would be perfectly happy if I carried her all day, everywhere that we go, except she doesn't like to leave the house. So there's that. And she doesn't like to go upstairs either. But outside of that, she would be quite happy for me to carry her. She'd stay like that all day. There you go. So let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe in the event you've not done so already. From me and my co-host here, that's it. I'll just let her purr into the microphone a bit, just to prove she's not as cranky as she looks. She's actually quite happy. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.